wanted to form a thesis on why humans tend to link sex and horror as much as they do. I mean, David Cronenberg, together, everything he's done. Well, maybe not absolutely. No, I'm pretty sure everything that David Cronenberg has done links sex and horror. The fact that since Dracula, the monster, the sexuality of the monster, vampires representing eternal youth, werewolves representing the unbridled libido or sexual id. Zombies stray from that, except for certain people. But yeah, I wanted to come up with a reason. Is it the beginning and the end, sex and death? Because of course horror has a lot to do with death, not always that's where the horror comes from. And then the whole Scream trope of the virgin doesn't die, only the girls who take their tops off die. So what is it that attracts humans to that is what I'm trying to determine. It's what I wanted to think about. And I don't get it. It does not make sense to me why we're so interested in combining these two things. Is it because they're both kind of messy? Or can be, if done right? Yeah, sex and death. Are they the most important things? I mean, we're preoccupied with both. Every human is preoccupied with both, regardless of whether they will admit it. Most of us won't admit to ourselves that we're preoccupied with death, but we all know it's coming, so I think since we don't know what goes on at the other end, no, none of you do. I don't care what books say. Maybe it is that alpha and omega represented in big titty college girls running around with a knife-wielding maniac chasing them. So yeah, I wanted to come up with a thesis to explain that, and I couldn't. Apparently, I am not an expert on all things human nature. So thank you, and good night.
Hey everybody, judging by the amateur porn setup, I must be reviewing Amateur Porn Star Killer. The trilogy, all three movies, all three agonizing long, even though they're only slightly over an hour movies. Let's start with the synopsis. Guy meets girl, usually a prostitute. Guy talks girl into getting in his car. Guy has sex with girl. Guy kills girl. That's what you get in 1, 2, and 3. I think he ups the body count with each one. There's 3 in the first one, 4 in the second one, and I think 5 in the third one. I don't know, 4. So 3, 4, 4. Either way, they're not really good. I like his premise. It could have been interesting. It would have been a better, more appealing, more abrasive or interesting short. But to drag it out over an hour, in my case, 3 hours and change, is just one note. It just gets a little monotonous after a while. And there's one thing I will be positive about is the director, Shane Ryan, technically is good. You had very little money. In fact, the first one was shot for $20. The second one was for $45, and I'm not 100% sure on the third one, but I think it's less than $100. So like a combined total of 3 movies less than $150, and he still managed to edit it, take the photos for the box art, and get it majorly distributed, all 3 movies. And even if they tanked, it's still a profit. I mean, that's insane. But technically they're fine. There's the way they're shot, edited is really tight, really, smooth. And he had a style he was looking for, and he achieved that, I think. As far as the story, though, there's not much going on. It's just very monotonous and a little boring. So, yeah, Amateur Porn Star Killers. Don't bother. Really, I don't have much to talk about. I mean, that was kind of all I did, was watch those 3 movies. Since I have this this Amateur Porn Star setup, I'm going to get my wife in here and see if we can kind of get our own thing going. So I'll let you guys go. See ya.
Aloha, horror fans. My portion of the Sex and Horror webcast talks about vampires because, god damn it, vampires are sexy. Dude, they're immortal. They're eternally young. And they're fucking hot. No, dude, fucking hot. If it weren't so, the sparkly ass, like, stalker kid who sneaks into whatever, that wouldn't be popular. Or I hear about this True Blood. They're fucking just nothing but raw, carnal, fucking everything and making new holes to put it in. Okay? But my favorite actual incarnation of the vampires is back in the 80s when everyone was to the point where you give your entire life force over to the vampire. Now, you have many 80s films, but one of the ones that comes to mind is called Life Force. And it's very stoic and very dry and very British, but, the special effects are quite good for being 1984, when boobs were real, and the vampires were completely naked. They weren't wearing all the fluffy Anne Rice wrappings. They weren't sparkling. They had an ass and some tits that weren't silicone. And they lured you in with just and you were theirs. Male or female, you were theirs. You were releasing the unbridled carnal lust within yourself. So much so that you allowed this predator to eat you. Motherfuck, if that isn't an example of sex and horror, I mean, come on, dude. If you pull some naked chick really in need of a bikini wax because she's been on some derelict spaceship for like 25,000 years or something, and she's considered dead, she gets up off the table and comes up to you fully nude. Use my body. Punch yourself in the dick, because that ain't gonna end well. Aloha, horror fans.